There are moments in life that don't announce themselves with noise or ceremony. They arrive in the in between spaces, in the pause after a sentence that wasn't finished, in the way someone's eyes linger just a breath too long, in the particular quality of a silence that feels full rather than empty. You have felt something like this recently. Something hovering at the edge of your awareness that you haven't quite been able to name, because naming it would require certainty, and certainty in matters this vast often arrives later than the feeling itself. This reading exists in that space, that charged, luminous, not yet spoken space. And if something drew you here today, some pull you couldn't entirely explain, then I want you to simply allow yourself to be present for what unfolds. Not because what you find here will give you answers carved in stone, but because sometimes the soul needs a mirror. And today, the energy surrounding your situation has something to reflect. So let's begin slowly with intention. Something is moving in the unseen layers of your world right now, and it has been moving for longer than you may realize. There is an energetic signature around you that feels unlike the ordinary rhythms of connection. It has a different weight to it, a different texture. If you've ever held something precious and felt the specific gravity of it in your hands, that quiet awareness that what you're holding is not ordinary, that it requires a particular kind of care, then you have some sense of what is circulating in the field around you now. There is someone in your world who is carrying something, not a burden, something closer to the opposite of a burden, though it presses on them just as heavily. They are carrying a knowing, an interior certainty that has been growing quietly, the way certain things grow, without spectacle, without performance, entirely according to its own timing. And what this knowing contains, what lives at its center, is a vision of a future that has you in it, not as a passing presence, not as a chapter, as the entire landscape. The energy this person holds right now is one of the most profound the human experience can produce, the state of having decided, privately and completely, something that will change the shape of their life forever. They have not yet released this into the air between you, but the decision, in some essential way, has already been made in the place where real decisions are made, not in the rational mind, but somewhere deeper, somewhere older, somewhere that operates below the reach of logic and doubt. You may have sensed something shifting in the way this person exists around you. Perhaps the attention has changed quality, become more focused, more deliberate, as though they are memorizing you. Perhaps there have been moments of unusual tenderness that arrived without obvious cause, or silences that seem to contain more than silence typically holds. Perhaps you've caught something in their expression, a look that lasted a fraction of a second longer than ordinary looking and felt, without being able to explain it, that something vast was moving behind their eyes. These are not coincidences. These are the external traces of an interior transformation that has already occurred. When we look at the subconscious currents beneath the surface of this connection, what emerges is striking in its consistency. There is a pattern here that does not belong to impulsivity. What lives in the deeper layers of this person's psychology around you is not the quick, bright flame of infatuation that energy burns differently, has a different fingerprint entirely. What is present here is something that has been tested. not necessarily through dramatic trials, but through the ordinary, daily, unglamorous tests that real feeling must pass, the mornings when everything is unremarkable, the moments of friction that reveal character, the quiet evenings that strip away performance and leave only what is genuinely there. This feeling has survived all of it, and surviving the ordinary is, in many ways, the most telling proof of what something is made of. There is an archetypal force at work in this person's subconscious that speaks of recognition, the ancient, inexplicable sense of having known something before you consciously learned it. There are people we encounter in life who feel, on some level that predates logic, familiar. Not because we have met them before in any literal sense, but because something in the architecture of who we are seems to have been built with them in mind. A kind of resonance that exists below thought, below memory, below the stories we tell ourselves about how love works and what it looks like and when it arrives. This person experiences that with you. It is not a small thing. It is, in fact, the thing that has made their certainty so difficult to doubt, even in their most private moments of self questioning. Because when you try to argue yourself out of a recognition that lives that deep, the argument never quite lands. The feeling simply waits for the doubt to pass and then continues, unchanged, exactly where it was. In the emotional and psychological landscape of this connection, there is something worth sitting with carefully. The reason this person has not yet spoken, has not yet found the words to release what they are carrying, is not rooted in uncertainty about what they feel. That uncertainty, if it ever existed, has already resolved itself. What remains is something more tender, the weight of the words themselves. The awareness that what they want to say is not the kind of thing you say casually, not the kind of thing you say and then take back, not the kind of thing the air recovers from once it has been spoken. I want forever with you. These are not light words. They are perhaps the heaviest words a human being can offer. Another because they contain not just feeling but intention, not just love but commitment, not just the present moment but every future moment that has not yet arrived. And when someone who does not speak lightly holds words this heavy, they hold them carefully, they turn them over. They wait until they can feel in their body, in their chest, in the particular stillness that comes with readiness, that the moment is right. There is a quality of reverence in this person's silence that you deserve to understand. They are not withholding, they are preparing. There is a significant difference, and the energy around this situation speaks clearly to which one is at work here. Beneath the emotional surface, there is also something touching and profoundly human to acknowledge. This person is, in some part of themselves, aware of the magnitude of what they are about to offer. And that awareness produces a particular kind of vulnerability, the vulnerability of someone who has decided to want something completely without a safety net, without a guarantee of how it will be received. There is courage required for what they are moving toward. The kind of courage that doesn't feel heroic from the inside, it feels terrifying. It feels like standing at the edge of something vast and stepping forward anyway, not because you are unafraid, but because the wanting is larger than the fear. Now, the energy begins to shift, and this is where things grow genuinely interesting. There is a turning point circulating in the dynamics around you. Not a dramatic rupture, but a quieter kind of threshold, the kind that doesn't announce itself until you're standing on the other side of it, looking back at the moment when everything began to change. Something in this connection is approaching a place of expression. The interior pressure of what has been held, named privately, decided quietly that pressure has its own momentum. And momentum, in energetic terms, tends toward release. What the unseen currents suggest is that this person is moving, perhaps slowly, perhaps in ways you cannot yet fully perceive, toward the moment when the words find their form. When the feeling that has lived silently in their interior world begins to cross the distance between them and you, when what has been known in the private dark of their own heart is finally offered into the shared light between you. This does not mean it will arrive in the way you might expect. It does not mean it will come with grand ceremony or perfectly constructed sentences. It may arrive quietly. It may arrive unexpectedly. It may arrive in a moment that looks, from the outside, entirely ordinary: a particular evening, a particular conversation, a pause in which something shifts and then the words come, not because the moment was planned, but because it was finally somehow right. What matters is this: the energy that has been building has a direction, and that direction is toward you. But here is what I want you to hold carefully in both hands as we move toward the close of this reading. You are not a passive recipient of what someone else is feeling. You are not simply waiting for something to arrive and then responding to it. You are an active sovereign presence in this connection with your own interior landscape, your own knowing, your own sense of what you want from a future that belongs to you as much as to anyone else. And whatever unfolds in the space between you and this person, whatever words eventually break the surface of this particular silence, the most important question is not simply what they want. It is what you want. Do you feel the recognition this reading is describing? Do you sense in the quiet underneath the everyday texture of this connection something that feels like more than coincidence, more than convenience, more than the ordinary gravity of attraction? Is there something in you that already knows, that has perhaps known for longer than you have allowed yourself to admit, that what exists between you carries the particular weight of something meant to last? These are not questions the energy can answer for you. They are not questions anyone or anything outside of you can resolve. They live in that same deep place where real decisions are made below logic, below performance, below the noise of what you think you should feel or what you think you should want. Beneath all of that, in the stillness, something in you already knows its own truth. And that truth, whatever it is, whatever shape it takes, whatever it requires of you, is the most important thing in this entire reading. Not what someone else wants to offer, not the feeling building in someone else's chest, but what you, standing fully in your own power, your own clarity, your own understanding of who you are and what a life well lived looks like for you, what you choose to step toward. The energy around this situation holds something rare, something that doesn't pass through people's lives frequently. And whether you recognize it as the thing you have been waiting for, or whether you find in your own honest interior that it is not what your soul is truly reaching toward, either answer is a valid one, and either answer belongs entirely to you. What I can offer you as we close this space is simply this: trust the intelligence of your own intuition. It has been speaking to you long before today. It will continue speaking after this reading ends. And it speaks not in the language of certainty, because certainty about the future is not something available to any of us, but in the language of resonance, of recognition, of that quiet, persistent sense of yes or not yet, or something about this matters that arises in the body before the mind has had time to construct an argument about it. You came here because something in you was already paying attention. Keep paying attention. The silence around you is not empty. It is full of something that is still finding its way to the surface, and whatever emerges from it, you are more than equipped to meet it with the fullness of who you are. That is enough. That has always been enough.